I would say that through them, I have honestly been able to experience Christ's love. They have been in my life through every single stage, you know, the good and the bad. They were there in my confirmation. They were present at my wedding. They were a huge part, and I've lived retreats with them. I've spent many, many nights asking them questions about our religion, about Catholicism.
I see the main role of godparents as being an example of faith for their godchildren, to show what it means to be a disciple of Jesus, and to show that by their very lives. They do that in a particular way by helping the parents of the godchild, also in raising the child in the faith, of being a support for the parents themselves to also grow in their faith, but also another resource the parents can use to help their godchildren become closer to Jesus.
I've always heard my parents say that godparents needed to be somebody trustworthy to be able to entrust your child if you were to pass. Pepe, as my older brother, he was a really good role model for me. Becky was just a very open friend and beautiful young woman that flourished in the parish, and they exemplify what I wanted my daughter to learn, to grow in her faith.
The church has certain requirements, according to canon law, to help godparents be this example, to be this model. The first and foremost is that a godparent have all the sacraments of initiation, meaning being baptized, having the first communion, and having received their confirmation. And so it's important then that if the godparent has the sacraments, it can be the great guide for the godchild to live out the sacraments as he or she receives them throughout the course of their lives. Another important requirement has to do with just a good model of faith. And a godparent will need, if the godparent is married, to be married in the church, not only by the state, to show an example for their godchild that the goal is always the sacraments. And if a godchild sees their godparents married in the church and happily married in the church, it will help the godchild as well grow into that desire also one day to follow that example. The same thing as if a godparent is single, that godparent also would not be living with someone else without being married. They also to show a good example of Christian living to his or her godchild. The third main requirement the church asks of godparents is simply to be a good model of faith, particularly going to Mass every Sunday, because Mass is the most important thing that we have, the most important thing we do as Catholics.
Well, it's a great privilege, big blessing, a big responsibility to be there for the kids, you know, especially in the days that we live where kids are, you know, so confused with so many things that happen around us.
I think for me, in being able to respond as a godmother, is to be able to respond to that invitation of coming into a child's life in a spiritual way, and that hopefully that my godkids can experience that in different ways. And the first time that I was asked to be a godmother, and coming into Krista's life was so important to me. It's like, okay, how am I going to live this for her? And so constantly seeking how to be that presence of Christ in their lives.